I do apologise, Wendy. You're quite right. Wendy's. Well, let's not be. Okay, fine. Then we've got an accountant here to answer your questions on accountancy to save you money. That's the strap line we've given it. And then we've got a driver training and an in-vehicle CCTV section with Carly from Diamond and Dave Lorry, who I don't see yet in the audience, but we'll need to get him off his stand at some point, but not for another 10 or 15 minutes, Annabelle. So we're starting in a few moments with our first driver workshop, the reasons for forming or joining an association. And again, much like Company Profile Live, we've invited 6 people who have formed associations from all over the country to tell them about your pitfalls and the successes and the reasons why, and basically to elaborate on the reasons why we all need to unite. Because as with one of our strap lines, I'm just seeing behind me, a united trade has a powerful voice. Okay, so we'll be starting in a few minutes. People are still coming on down the wrong entrance. It's behind you. Following on from the driver workshops, we've got our keynote address by 2 ladies from DEFRA. Obviously this year's big topic, and probably next year's big topic as well, will be clean air zones, and they'll be telling you the strategy and the cost of clean air zones. See, more people are filtering in now, so I'll start in about 3 or 4 minutes, if I may. Just want to get more people in the audience. Asif, if you want to sort of wend your way to the front so that you've got less far to travel. Just before we formally start, I'll just explain who the 6 associations we've got here are. We've got Wendy Loveday, who has got a chair of the York Private Hire Association. I've got Mo Nazir from Derby, Nick Rhodes from Salford, Mark Jennings from Southend, Keith Beadle from Basildon, and Asif Shah from Bradford. So we've got a nice cross-section all over the country, which hopefully will sort out various localities and give you some ideas. But I do believe the information they'll give you will sort of general across the country, but who knows? It might be specific to forming an association in Derby, which is different to Nottingham. Who knows, Mo? I'm sure you'll elaborate. No. So we'll just give it another 3 or 4 minutes if you don't mind. In fact, we're still Donna. Can I see Donna in the audience? Where's Donna vanished to? Right, so either way we can't start without Donna, so but we'll start straight after that because we have plenty to get through before the keynote address. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we come on to the second area of our workshops today, driver workshops. And as I briefly mentioned before, we've got some ladies and gentlemen who will come and tell us how they've formed and joined their association. Basically, the number of times the National Association have taken calls and emails from licence holders around the country saying, I don't know where to turn, is incredible. Hopefully this seminar will be a solution to that dilemma. We want to inform you that you're not alone, that you're not out on a limb, and if you join your local private hire taxi association, or indeed union, there is always strength in numbers. That's the message from our very welcome group of speakers today. So may I invite, in no particular order, just the order it's come here, in much the same we did Company Profile Live, Wendy Lovejoy, who is the chair of York Private Hire Association Up, Mo Nazieff, who's the chair of Derby Operator Association, Nick Rose from Salford Private Hire Association. I've got Mark Jennings from Southend GMB representative and co-founder of that association, Keith Beadle, who is the secretary of Basildon, and, says he turning over the page, Asif Shah from Bradford. Okay, so I think I'll just introduce where they're at and then Don will ask a question. So Wendy Lovejoy is the chair of the York... Sorry, I do apologise. I was thinking of the antique programme, yes. Wendy Loveday is the chair of the York Private Hire Association. She's been active in the trade in York for many years and will give you a flavour of the sorts of constructive measures taken by their long-established association, which has a membership of approximately 300 to deal with controversial issues in their licensing district. Donna, do you want to ask a question of Wendy?
Yeah, hi Wendy, welcome everybody. Right, Wendy, one of the most pressing issues in the York licensing area, as in many other areas in the UK, is cross-border hiring and out-of-area vehicles and drivers encroaching on your territory. What constructive measures have you been able to take as a strong local association to combat cross-border activity?
And Carl,
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. I've normally got a loud enough voice. Well, our biggest issue with cross-border hiring obviously is Uber. They did originally have a license in York, and then we campaigned and lobbied our council to ensure they lost their license. When Uber came to York, we weren't the least bit bothered about them because they said they were only going to take from the local cars, and they didn't. They immediately then introduced cars from all over the UK. So that created a problem for everybody. Obviously, it's a very complex one-way system that we've got, and we've got tiny streets in York. It's an ancient city, and you've got everybody coming along. They've no idea where they're going, causing accidents all over the place. So we lobbied our councillors, who then, in the hearing, did not relicense Uber. But it's not made any difference to Uber. They still send their out-of-town vehicles. The only thing is no York licensed vehicle is now an Uber. So what we've done is we've campaigned against this. We've reported them for all of the misdemeanours they're doing. We keep a check. We work as a team. The Hackney carriages and the private hires, there's a handful of us that are dual badged, but mainly you're either Hackney carriage or private hire. And we've actually teamed together. We work together. There's 1,100 drivers in York, and we do not distinguish between private hire and Hackney carriage. So as we're working together as this great big team, and we're quite a force to deal with. And due to the number of complaints that have gone in, we've now, with lobbying, with getting our councillors on side, they're reasonable people, they're intelligent, they understand what's going on, what's happening to the trade, what's happening specifically, and most particularly, in terms of public safety, which is getting completely ignored by this toxic company. So they're really on side with that because they're sensible human beings, and they're fair and they're reasonable, and they see that this is a dangerous company. It's really dangerous in terms of they don't pay the taxes. You know, I mean, you'd look around, that what they've done is they've basically deregulated taxiing, and the whole point the regulations were brought in was for the public safety. Right, forget the driver safety for now. I mean, that didn't even come up in the task and finish group, right? But in terms of driver safety, public safety, they're an absolute shambles. So we fought against that, and we've managed to get our committee to, the Licensing and Gambling Committee, to agree to prosecuting Uber, right? So we're not prosecuting a driver, although we do prosecute for applying for hire all of the time. Anytime we catch an Uber driver that has picked up illegal, they are prosecuted in York, right? But what York is now going after is after Uber, right? And they're going after them under 1976 LGMPA section 46(1)D. And we have the full support of our council on that. And we're moving towards that. We've got a meeting at the end of this month and then another one in the middle of next month. So we're expecting to go for a prosecution in sort of September, October. So keep you posted on that. Keep an eye on York.
So active defiance and an act of defiance.
We are absolutely determined. You see, the thing is, I mean, if you look at page 52 of your PHTM this month, you'll see me in there. Sorry, I'm not self-promoting, honestly. It's just, I want to make it clear to everybody here, and I think everybody here needs to make it clear to everybody else out there, that we aren't scared of Uber. Just because they've got all this money does not make them right, does not make them fair, and absolutely, definitely does not make them safe. So this is where we stand on this, and just keep going. Don't give up. Never give in. Never surrender. That money doesn't scare us, right? We're York, and we are not going to stop. Until they have to abide by exactly the same rules as we do, we are not going to give in.
Okay, at that point, can I move on? Because obviously
Yeah,
we've got, but thank you very much. Okay. Okay. Our next participant is Mo Nazir, who is of the Derby Area Taxi Operators Association. He's very vociferous and active member of his local association and has been for over 38 years. And originally it was set up to deal with the railway to negotiate permits, but now they're working closely with the station manager to negotiate a contract for out-of-town journeys. Anyway, Don, if you want to ask a question of Mo.
Right, Mo. It is more important than ever to have unity in the trade and for us all to be singing off the same sheet. That was your quote, okay? What has your association accomplished as a group in recent years, in particular working with other key partners in the nighttime economy and community safety partnership?
Right, in recent years we've...
Sorry, Carl, have we got a problem with the mics?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, in recent years we've achieved purple flag status in Derby, which makes it a safe nighttime economy. We've also... Just there. Okay. Right. We've achieved purple flag status, which makes our city a safe nighttime economy, safe place to be for diners, revellers, and the nighttime economy. We've secured taxi marshals, which we work with. We were key players in that, secure taxi marshals for the taxi drivers, and also we've worked with the police in getting a sticker done for the cabs where non-payment was referred as bilking. And before we struggled, where we had to ring the police. Officers had to come out at busy times of the weekend to come and deal with non-payment for fares. And the council weren't accepting that, saying you can't have advance payment. Now, with the stickers in the vehicles, the drivers, at their discretion, are allowed to ask for payment up front, which has taken a lot of stress off the local police force. And also, we've got the hate crime. We're working with the agencies where someone's been a victim of hate crime. I'm encouraging them more to report it. Whereas drivers in the past had not reported it, saying, well, the police don't do anything, no one does anything. So now, even how minor it is, any hate crime, I'm encouraging to report it to police.
So your association is working in conjunction with the local police and other aspects, especially at night time, to really make sure there's less aggravation for the end user.
That's right, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, because you got involved in the marshals as well, didn't you?
Yes, that's correct, yeah. So obviously, like, we lost the marshals for a bit, and we were successful in securing the contract again for them. So we've got them for the nearable future at the moment. And also the fare increase. We had our fare increase back in December 2017. We worked on that, we secured it, and that went through, not a problem at all.
Okay. Right, we have...
And
Nick-
also,
Oh,
we've been affiliated with the National Private Hire Taxi Association for a number
Quite
of years
right,
now.
let's give a plug for Donna. yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Don, and the late Brian as well. Thank you.
Okay, we have Nick Rose, who is the chair of the Salford Private Hire Association. Nick's been in the industry for many years, very active in Salford. Currently the hot topic, as in many other districts, is the proposed Clean Air Initiative, which of course we're focusing on after this with our keynote address. In this case, in Salford's case, it affects all 10 Greater Manchester metropolitan boroughs, of which Salford, I didn't know that, is one of the largest. Nick, have you got Don, have you got a question for Nick?
Okay. Quote from yourself: "The fact that in Salford we have an established private hire association has helped in many ways, gaining us access to information, meetings, and even radio time. However, the problem is that those who are members of the association, and we have over 600, often do not realise that we are gathering this information and fighting battles on their behalf, and we need their support. In the current climate change across the UK, it's imperative that people affected by change, whatever the change, take the opportunities made available to them to register their thoughts and opinions." Now that's a quote from you. My question is, how can the communication in the clean air matters between Salford MBC and your association be improved? You presented them with possible dilemmas. They've not provided you with satisfactory responses. Have you approached the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham? Any joy, any message for others in the audience who might be faced with the same problem?
Good afternoon.
I hope so.
Right. You've asked if we've approached Andy Burnham. We've tried to. It's a difficult process. He is, if you like, at the top of a pyramid. We're having to deal with three parties. There's the local licensing authority, there's the Greater Manchester Combined Authority, and also Transport for Greater Manchester. We initially were asked to submit a report on the proposal, which covers an area of 530 square miles with a 130-mile boundary. It's going to affect up to 14,000 drivers. There's potentially 9,500 vehicles that won't be compliant on day one. So we've submitted a report. We've outlined the possible impacts, the consequences, and we've asked for a response. Now, this is meant to start in 2021. We've got 18 months, and we still don't know the criteria that will be applied. We don't know any schemes that are going to be available. Drivers are being asked, those that are taking a notice of it, to consider what vehicles they'll be using so that they can be compliant, but they don't know what the best route is yet. They don't know if there's going to be a scrappage scheme. They don't know if there'll be any incentives. Will they be able to use bus lanes? Will they be able to use a certain type of vehicle? There is also a lot of misleading information. Most of you, if you're affected by clean air zones, will see that what has cascaded down from DEFRA, it states quite clearly that Euro 4 petrol and Euro 6 diesel will be compliant. The only place that a Euro 4 petrol vehicle will be compliant is somewhere where there is absolutely no vehicle age policy at all. In Salford, we have a 10-year vehicle age policy. That means that the minimum that we can utilise would be a Euro 6 petrol, Euro 6 diesel. That changes the goalposts. And with clean air zones across the country coming into fruition, it means that manufacturers are not going to have to start dropping their prices. Prices, if anything, might go up a little bit. So there's going to be a vast void between what you can get for your car at the moment and what you're going to have to pay to replace it to have a compliant vehicle. As an association, we have lobbied all these parties, and we've had success over previous years with various things, with age policies, with licence fees, etc. In this particular case, there is a lot of box ticking going on. We have Just for instance, yesterday there was meant to be a meeting, a clean air meeting. It was cancelled because there are no updates. Well, an update is just someone telling me what's happening. It's not us being able to give a view, state an opinion, get a response, etc., etc. So that just adds to my fuel that this is a box-ticking exercise. DEFRA seem to believe that all, whether it be Transport for Greater Manchester, the Combined Authority, or the Licensing Authority, are meeting with us on a regular basis, are taking heed of our problems, our issues, our concerns. That isn't the case. The problem that we now have, and it was interesting to hear what York are doing, our Licensing Authority don't really support us. We seem to be a little bit of a virus, really, that they're not keen on. What we need to do now is get support. We need support from operators, from drivers. We need support from the people that are relatives of drivers and operators, because everyone's going to be affected.
Well, on that subject, obviously, maybe you'll ask this of Defrid following on in our keynote address. So I must get on at this point. So a question now, let me introduce you to Mark Jennings. Mark has been involved in the taxi trade for many years. His message is very clear. It really is about strength in numbers. And in what way does that apply in his neck of the woods, which is Southend? He argues that the union, everyone's familiar with the GMB, will help in backing you in a corner. Donna, do you want to ask a question of Mark?
Yes, sure. Exactly how would a like-minded group of licence holders go about forming a cooperative in their district? Because you have done that successfully with Cooperative UK, both in Southend and now Rochford.
Yeah, I'm actually the president of the GMB union for London. I'm the secretary of my own association in Southend, and we started our own co-op. So basically, I was talking to one of the guys earlier, and they said that the operators are starting to squeeze them, especially since Uber have come in and undermined the licensing regime, and made it very difficult for everybody. And the operators are now feeling the pinch as well, because people are leaving them and going to other operators. So we had in Southend, we had two people that owned everything. They owned, there's a neighbouring district of Rochford and Rayleigh and Southend, and Basildon, where Mark and Paul are there, Mark and Keith are there. We've got literally these powerful people with lots and lots of money who, again, like Wendy said, they're people with money, and they're quite scary people, because they can make your life difficult. Oh, like Wendy, I said, no, we're not doing that. We are going to form a cooperative. And a cooperative simply is a company that all the drivers own equally. Everybody is a member, and everybody shares in the wealth of that company. So the company doesn't actually become a wealthy company. A co-op is a company that is formed from members to provide goods and services for members only. So the 73 guys and ladies on our co-op at the moment all own the company equally. We all chip in an equal amount of money every single month on the same day to fund the co-op, the wages and the rent of the office and the equipment, etc., etc. Because we're not paying anyone's profit, we only pay £250 a month each. Now, as drivers around this room, and probably in this entire industry, you know as well as I do, that is nothing. It's rock bottom. Now, that co-op's now been going, it started with 6 drivers 6 years ago, it's now got 73 drivers, and it's just gone into the next borough. So therefore, the drivers over there, which luckily have only had these 2 guys and their companies to deal with, are desperate for someone to come along. So it's very easy for us to recruit now, especially as we're not making any money out of them. The co-op is exempt from VAT, the co-op is exempt from corporation tax, so the co-op simply has to supply goods and services to members only. And it's a very good model. Operators are going to hate it. Tough. I don't care. On the back of that, obviously everyone in my co-op, or the members of my co-op, our co-op, I should say. It's not a me and I, it's an us and our, you know. It's never an I in it. We all belong to our association. You know, I am a member of the union, and obviously I encourage people to join that. They don't have to. But when someone's in trouble and someone's up in front of a licensing authority, and I'm actually representing someone when I leave here today over in Peterborough. That's how big our branch goes. It goes from Lowestoft to High Wycombe. So I'm off to Peterborough. I'm going to represent this guy. I'm going to get him off. I know I am, because that's what we do. We need, and if you're in trouble and you think, you know, you've got someone in your cab, they're causing a problem, it's of a night time, you haven't got CCTV, which I recommend you get if you just to cover yourself. You know, you're up in front of a licensing authority, you got some rubbish claim that you've done X, Y, and Z, and you need help. You're going to be on your own. If you ever got someone like me or Wendy or any one of these guys here who run the associations, and these are powerful people, they know their stuff, they know what they're talking about. They're not frightened to go into a council and kick their backside and say what they think. You got to have people like that behind you. You got to have people like that backing you up. Join your association. Wendy here.
So what we're saying is strength in numbers.
Strength in numbers.
Join an association. Join a cooperative.
But it's more than that. It's more than that. Let me just tell you this. I've done a video on cross-border hiring, and out of that video, I attracted people from all over the country. And this lady here, star. Absolute superstar. I'll tell you for why. Because she, cheers, mate. She done the actual, I'd done the video, but she got the ball rolling. And she brought in the QCs and the lawyers, and the ideas that come from when you've got strength in numbers, the ideas that come flooding back, and the action that comes off the back of that. Gerald Gourier, QC. Good friend of ours now. Sorry, let me have a drink. Oh, it's better. But, you know, that's what you need, and you do need strength in numbers.
Okay. May I? Yes, thank you very much. Our next person is Keith Beadle, who is the Secretary of Basildon Borough Hackney Carriage Association. He represents an association that's been going for over 40 years. Donna, do you want to ask a question of Keith?
Yeah, sorry. Hello. Double-barrel question for you. Double-barrel question. Okay, what impact does your association have on disciplinary measures proposed by the council? And with how many other issues has your association become involved apart from just taxi matters? And what results have you achieved?
Yep. Hello, everybody. As Mark's just put out there, we do represent drivers on disciplinary matters. We're allowed to get involved right from the start. So when the driver is first contacted by the council, they will contact us, the driver, and then we can ask council for whatever the complaint is about, copies of the evidence. We will then use either the auspices of the National Association to get relevant legislation and case law. A lot of councils are going through change. Ours is one of them. Because of the pressure we've been putting on over the last couple of years, we've lost senior management and middle management levels. Councils up and down the country in the same position. They're all trying to find new licensing officers, senior licensing officers. They're bringing people into the industry who do not understand legislation. They bring people into the industry who make basic mistakes. Right? Our policy is if you've got a complaint against the driver, they'll investigate that, they'll bring the driver in, and he should be cautioned. And any interview should be done under recording. That's the policy in our local area. New guys don't understand that. They bring them in, they try and talk to the drivers, they try and get drivers to admit to things that they're not allowed, and then they want to use that to go and take them in front of licensing committees and get them lose their badges. Because we go along and we're supporting there with a driver, we know the rules. We know the legislation. We say to them, "Oh, hold on, what are you doing?"
I think the message we're all hitting upon here throughout the 5 speakers so far is strength in numbers. Get an association together, join an association.
Yeah.
People of those associations know the legal parameters,
Yeah.
and they'll help you. And
Yeah.
I think
And if we
in
don't have the
whatever area
information-
you're in, you have to really concentrate and say, if you haven't got an association, form one, or if there is an association, join it.
Yeah.
Can I just bring Asif in now?
Oh, sorry, I've just got a second part there.
Okay, but
Right.
I'm running so far behind that you'd be
Right.
be
Just-
right for both.
I would just say that obviously when you do have your association, when you formed it, there are people like these people on there that you can always contact. You can contact the National Association. You could always get help. People are so interested in helping you, especially over the fight with Uber. But the second part of the question you asked was what other things we do. We have been involved in various charities. We've been involved in the regeneration of the town. So they're looking at changing all the roads in the town, new one-way systems and so on. And we got involved in that very early. And from that, we didn't even apply for it, but from that, we've got 2 new ranks, one outside the front of the station and one outside the major shopping Asda's, just by helping. So things, just by getting involved early and putting your nose forward, and same with the ULEZ and whatever else, we've got in right at the ground level.
So a solution to apathy. That's,
Yeah, and once they see you're there, and once they know you're interested, they start reacting to you and getting help going forward.
Thank you, Keith. I really have to. Can I ask a question now of our last person on the stage is Asif Shah, who is the lead campaigner of the Better Taxi Action Group based in Bradford. Donna, do you want to ask a quick question?
Yeah, sure. Basically,
Your microphone, Donna.
sorry. You build yourself as a campaign group made up of members of local trade associations and so on, and affiliated with the National. What specific issues do you hope to tackle with the council by way of using your new campaign group where other local trade associations did not succeed?
Right, so first of all, I've run an association in Bradford. We had about 3 associations at the time. We've all, the private hire traders, merged that into one. The taxi associations, the Hackney Carriage, Bradford Council have preferred to keep them separate, so we've not been able to unite with them properly yet. But what we found was we were struggling to get messages across to the council. Obviously, various parts of the trade were having problems, whether it's drivers, whether it's customers, whether it was the operators. I think the biggest problem in Bradford was the lack of education, as somebody's already mentioned, amongst councillors. They really don't have a clue. So the purpose of BTAG, the Better Taxi Action Group, was to create a platform where we could share our concerns and voices. The local MPs, all 5 MPs of Bradford, support BTAG, which obviously they couldn't become members of associations. We've got disability groups supporting BTAG. We've got a lot of councillors are on the platform now as well. Most of the operators in Bradford, a lot of drivers. But the purpose of BTAG is to educate and to raise awareness about some of the problems, not to dictate or to put proposals forward. So we're trying to create a platform where we're all sort of singing off the same hymn sheet, but working together has taken us a lot further than any individual has managed to achieve. One thing you will find amongst councils is that if you try to tackle them individually, you will always be aware of other people's problems, or somebody who might have already faced a problem that you're facing. And by working together and networking, you do get to a bigger understanding of the actual problems in your local licensing authorities.
So communication.
Communication is the key to it all, and working alongside other people who are stuck in the same situations.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for your input. We are going on to our next driver workshop, so can I thank the 6 people on the audience for their time here today. Thank you very much. I'm sorry about to curtail it, but we've got the thank you very much. The keynote address first. Okay, our next driver workshop is our next speaker is Paul Whitehouse from Chariots Accountants, who have been operating since 1998, providing accountancy services. His main topic will be accountancy to save you money, focusing on making tax digital and most importantly what HMRC expects. Again, he's here for you to give new guidance, new perspectives on tax in the digital age. So please ask him questions. Paul, over to you.
Can you hear me? It's all clear?
Yeah.
Right, yes. Okay, to start off with, piggybacking on what was said here, in regards to dealing with HMRC, we are working for you. That's very much the whole approach that we have. We don't work for HMRC. We're here to support you, to make sure you get your taxes right, to make sure you pay what you owe.
Do you want to speak a bit louder, Paul? Can
Sorry.
everyone hear Paul?
Yep. So making sure you pay what you owe, not what they want you to pay. So to start off with, I'm going to concentrate more on the expenses side of things. So we're looking at major the changes coming through the taxi industry as a whole. You've got all the digital technology coming in. You've got different methods of receiving jobs, of getting paid for those jobs. Everything is being evolved, and it's being aware of what you can claim and what you need to put through to get that bottom line figure. So how many people here have heard of Making Tax Digital? Yep, 2 hands, not a great deal. It's not unusual. It really only affects VAT businesses, and for drivers, they don't want to know about VAT. It's not on their radar, probably never will be. You always claim the VAT anyway for all your expenses, so why should you bother about recording that separately? The key fact is that MTD is the start of the digital evolution of the tax system. It will hit self-assessment. It will hit corporation tax. At that point, you are being pulled into it based on the information that's being fed through VAT. That doesn't mean they say that they want you to send them a huge list of all your fares and every single expense. They're only interested in the end figures. But you need to make sure that those end figures are correct, because they will have the technology to pick holes in it very, very quickly and very, very precisely. So how do we help with that? Well, the main thing is we look at the sort of technology that you're bringing into your business. So if you're using AutoCab, if you're using iCabby, making sure that the information that's being stored in there matches what you're sending to HMRC. If it isn't, then we need to identify those issues and address them. Again, why is there this broader look at your whole industry? It's because they're working on this new technology called APIs, which literally takes you out of the equation. The information that you'll be creating from the jobs automatically goes to your accounting software, automatically goes to your accountant, which then automatically goes to HMRC.
Big Brother's got you.
Big Brother's got you, yeah. You have got nothing to worry about once you're in that technology. Everything will be handled for you. But it's a scary thing to consider. People don't like change. People expect it to go wrong. They're worried about the Big Brother element of it. They're worried about, is there going to be this person watching over everything I'm doing?
But there's got to be benefits of this as well, surely.
There are always benefits of it. And the benefits are of claiming every single last penny that you can to make sure you pay the minimum tax.
I hope you're listening, claiming every last penny.
Before, people would round figures. They would lose receipts out of their back pockets. All these sort of things would happen on a day-to-day basis. Some people would think, oh, I'll go get my car washed, forget they don't get a receipt for the car wash, so how are they going to record that? They can put it down on paper, but that's the sort of thing HMRC turn around and say, can you prove it? With digital technology, it's automatically recorded. You don't have to worry about it. You know everything is going to be claimed. You will pay the minimum amount of tax should you record things digitally.
But how can you, by the same token, have a car wash and not record it? How can the digital technology say, he did have a car wash on this day and he can claim it back? It's still going to be recorded somewhere.
It's still got to be recorded somewhere. That's one of the things that is currently being dealt with through HMRC. There's a lot of back pressure on HMRC to provide people with the solutions, because the more they push onto you as the individual, the more cost it's going to cost you to actually comply with HMRC. And I was speaking to somebody yesterday who said, can't I bill HMRC for my time? It's a very valid point, and I'd say, yeah, give it a go. Probably ain't going to work.
So saying I've got a 50-car fleet.
Yep.
And I say, what can I claim for? What sort of things? You told me
50-car fleet, I would say the first thing you want to make sure you're claiming for is the purchase of the cars. Right down to any odd bit of modelling on the car, whether you have wheelchair access, things put into the car to make them work better, CCTV, what else is there?
On what basis is CCTV reclaimable? Because you're
Well,
providing an extra
CCTV
service, or
it's not an extra service, but it's required to provide your service to the best of your ability. To have that security for the passengers is a cost to you. So when you look at what you're doing for your car, even if it's just down to the air fresheners you're putting in the car, you may think it's only a couple of quid here and there, but that all adds up. Making sure you keep all of those expenses together. One of the things that comes up a lot for us is the use of your expenses for business versus personal. Now, when you consider HMRC, their main approach is an expense has to be wholly and exclusively used for business, which works fine for corporations. But when you're a driver, self-employed, sole trader, the two, personal and business, blend into each other. You probably all use your own personal mobile phone to use your apps and stuff like that. You may have apps for business, like mileage trackers. You may use Uber. They're all done for your own personal mobile. So how do you make sure that you're claiming all of your mobile cost against that? And the simple answer is, if you are using it almost exclusively, claim it all. It's up to us as your accountants to try and pigeonhole that and argue that case over to HMRC, because that's where most self-employed people fall down. If they don't have an accountant behind them, HMRC will say, no, we want 50% of that mobile phone put down for personal use. We can turn around and say, no, that's not the way it's done.
So is this
Look
because,
at the individual.
Is this because by engaging in an accountant, you're almost like rubber stamping
Exactly,
the
yeah.
information that you're going to portray?
Yeah.
And they
One-
might say, okay, well, he's cleared it, therefore I'm less likely to argue.
That's right. One of the biggest concerns we see with HMRC is personal mileage. They do like to keep mileage logs of people, and most people don't keep them logs. So when they come to an investigation, they look at it and they say, well, we're going to take our standard. Now, their standard may be based in London, and if it's completely different to the type of industry you run in your local area. The standard in London, I think, at the moment is 25% personal mileage on the fuel, which is ridiculous. I'm based in Portsmouth, and I'd say majority of them are best pushed 5%. Couple go to 10 if they've got family and they run around a lot for them, but most people, when they finish driving for 8 to 10 hours, the last thing they want to do is get back in the car. And that's the general principle of it. You don't want to put your personal mileage through the business, but there is always some bleed over.
Okay, well, that was Paul Whitehouse. He is from Chariots Accountants. He is just along the corridor if you want to catch him afterwards, but I am rushing. Have we got has anyone got one question for Paul before I move on to driver training? Then, Paul, can I thank you for your time?
Thank you very much.
And next, in our next training workshop, I see Carly is very eager already.
Save your time.
Yes, and I do appreciate it, because you can see that obviously I'm rushing around. This is Carly Brookfield, who is the Chief Executive of Diamond Advanced Motorist. Diamond is a leading provider of government-accredited training and assessments for occupational drivers and passengers, and part of the largest professional driver training association in the UK. I think Carly's going to say a few words, and I've got a question for you after that point.
I'll answer any questions. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to go quick, so keep up with both the Lancastrian accent and the speed at which I'm talking, but I'm aware we're running into the next seminar. Yes, I am here to talk about driver training and testing, but I think it best sells itself, not me talking specifically about Diamond's products, but why the need for driver training and testing at all. We are the UK's largest testing body now for taxi tests, and most local authorities will be using a version of one of our tests. We are the only taxi testing body that offers a government-accredited DVSA test, and this is a test that Diamond created itself over 30 years ago now and is still as robust as ever. But the need for driver training and testing, Diamond is part of the Driving Instructors Association. We are the government's lead driver education provider and advisor on road safety standards. So we sit up there with government, overviewing regulation and strategy on a wide range of things, including your next item, environmental issues as well, and safer driving, environmental safety driving. What I'm here today to do is put the case for why driver training and testing for you as individual company owners and for individual drivers. Because, quite frankly, a lack of driver training and robust enough testing of the people that you put in those cars is costing the economy, never mind you, £36 billion a year. Every day I am working across various areas of rider and driver road safety in the UK and abroad, and it is a truism that we cannot sustain those kind of costs for this or in any other area of the public purse. These kind of costs are not just hitting the public purse, they're hitting your purse as a business owner, they're hitting your purse as a driver as well. Investment in driver training is not just a loss, it's an investment. It pays dividends. You can tour all those expensive vehicles out there today, you can talk to the insurers about their premiums, but one of the things that will help lower costs and cut risk in your business is making sure the people you hand the keys to and let drive your asset and your reputation down the road need to be effectively screened before they even get in the vehicle and trained and developed as they continue to drive for your organisation. So this is a wake-up call in many respects, because we are falling behind driving standards in all areas of the driving population, and if a professional driver segment is not investing in driver training and testing to the right standard, then we really have problems, and we can't just keep pointing the finger at young drivers and the rest of the licence holders out there as well.
Is driver training worse in the UK than abroad, than the continent?
The UK would like to pride itself, and I often will have colleagues in road safety that will tell you that the UK has one of the best road safety standards in the world. Actually, our standards are dropping and we're falling behind developing nations even, because they start from a ground zero approach where they put in and they learn from other countries and they better what we do. So actually in things like motorway casualties and accidents, we are one of the worst performing countries. And our young driver problem is obviously an issue. But the biggest problem we have to tackle is actually occupational drivers. It cost a company in the region of £32,000 to actually recover the costs of a road traffic collision. So it's costing the economy £36 billion, bad driving. It's costing a company up to £32,000 a time if they have a serious road traffic accident. So you can see what the investment case.
Serious road traffic accidents.
Yeah, exactly. And even a small, the taxi industry itself, are you generating lots of very serious RTCs? It's actually quite hard to determine, because a lot of them go unreported, a lot of them are not recorded officially by the police, so they don't go into DFT stats. However, there are 5,000 serious incidents involving taxi and private hire drivers a year, and whether that has a cost of life, it's definitely got a cost to your purse as the company owner, to the driver, and to the economy, and all the public services.
How can we improve our standards?
So one thing we can do is we can actually make the testing process more robust. The taxi tests that are offered at the moment outside of Diamond are simply not robust enough, and I actually would like to see our elite test as the standard. If we are expecting to have a good standard of driver going through a testing system when you only require somebody to pass a test which is similar to what a 17-year-old will for a Cat B, that is just not good enough. These people are going to be licensed to carry the most precious cargo of all, the human being. Yeah, children, adults, whatever it is, it's still precious life. So we need to get testing standards up. We need local authorities to mandate that the testing standards should be higher. We need to mandate as a minimum that it's organisations like us. I make no apology for saying my brand is the best. It is the best. We are the only ones who only ever field a professional driving examiner who is qualified to be in a driving examiner. It's not just a driving instructor who fancies doing some testing. It's not just an ex-police driver masquerading as a qualified examiner. We're the only ones that field professional examiners to do this very specific test. And our test is the only one that's rigorous enough, I believe, for any kind of passenger carrying vehicle. We test passenger carrying vehicle drivers all over the world, from bus drivers in Oman to taxi drivers in Dubai and all across Asia and the Middle East as well as the UK.
And then presumably wherever you are in the country, wherever you are abroad,
yeah.
if your company has adequate and proper driver training,
yeah.
then ultimately they'll reap the rewards from the public.
Exactly. And the thing we always say to people is don't just keep sending taxi drivers to us for testing, because if they keep failing, they keep having a cost to their purse, your purse, and possibly the roads. If you send them for some training beforehand, either one-on-one in car or classroom-based training, that is a good investment as well. They're not cannon fodder. You can't just keep sending them for a test. And if you see somebody boasting outside of us high pass rates, be very cynical. High pass rates whereas a low bar is not good for road safety. So we need to raise the standards and investment in driver training. The other good thing, and I'm going to usefully segue into your next session, what else does driver training deliver? Good driver training, particularly at an advanced level? Okay. Energy efficiency savings. So you become a better eco driver, and with the goodwill in the world to those who are going to speak about EVs, we've had a conversation earlier, you can buy an electric vehicle and just assume it's suddenly going to deliver you an environmental saving. You've still got to drive that electric vehicle to the best of its efficiency, and that comes through driver training as well. So big investment case for driver training and testing and raising the standards. But the remark I will leave you with is this: I want to work with your industry to raise those standards, not just sell you products and services. So if you think there is a way in which us, as the leading body in driver training across the UK, regardless of sector, can help you with your lobbying, representation and support, you'll do a good job if you interrupt me now, then please come and speak to me today. I'm on the red stand just outside there, and also come and get our
Carly,
sunglasses.
I was just about to say you're on the red stand over there.
Did it for you.
Thank you. I was going to ask a question on the floor, but unfortunately we're running behind time. We're now going to have our keynote address, which the ladies of DEFRA are due to start shortly in 10 minutes. So 1:45, keynote address from DEFRA on clean air zones. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
No, there won't be. I mean, we just probably put that down in the